I was told Britain was not worth conquering, an island at the edge of the world, cold, wet, barbaric, a place where the sun itself seemed weaker. But as our ships cut through the gray sea, I felt something Rome had not taught me to feel before. Fear, not of death but of the unknown, because Rome had conquered everything it touched, and yet this island had resisted us for nearly 100 years. I did not know it then, but the moment my boots touched that shore, Britain would never be the same again, and neither would Rome. Hello friends, my name is Servius Caesar. I am a Roman legionary and I will narrate my story of the Roman invasion of Britannia. I first heard the name Britannia as a warning, not in speeches, not in triumphs, but in whispers. Veteran soldiers spoke of it the way sailors speak of storms, with respect and superstition. They said the island breathed fog, that its forests swallowed men whole, that its people painted themselves blue and vanished into the trees like spirits. Rome ruled the world, but Britain remained unfinished. I was not there when Julius Caesar first crossed the sea. That was nearly a century before my time. In 55 BC, when Rome was still proving itself, Caesar called it a reconnaissance. We all knew it was something else, a test. The veterans told us how the Britons stood on the cliffs as Roman ships approached. No fear, no surrender, just warriors waiting. They said Caesar's men hesitated, not because they lacked courage, but because the ocean itself seemed to resist them. The tide was wrong, the wind betrayed them, the sea was silent. Rome landed, and Rome left, twice. For Rome, failure is never forgotten, but it can be postponed. For nearly 100 years, Britain remained unconquered not because it was strong, but because it was inconvenient. No gold worth the blood, no cities worth the effort, and yet, Rome could not stop looking at it. By the time I was born, Britain had become an insult, an unfinished sentence in Roman history, a place where rebels fled, where enemies of Rome found shelter, where Roman authority simply ended, and Rome does not tolerate edges. When Emperor Claudius came to power, everyone doubted him. They called him weak, unfit, a man who spoke too slowly to rule an empire. But Claudius understood something the Senate did not. Rome does not remember rulers who hesitate. Rome remembers conquerors. That was when the orders came, not rumors, not whispers, orders. Britain would fall. I remember the harbor before we sailed. The ships lined up like blades. Legions packed shoulder to shoulder, armor gleaming beneath a nervous sky. No songs, no cheers, only the sound of waves and wood creaking under the weight of destiny. As we pushed off, I looked back at Gaul, the last familiar land I would see for a long time. Ahead of us was only water, and beyond that, an island Rome had tried and failed to break. We told ourselves the Britons were savages, that they would scatter at the sight of discipline, that their courage was noise without structure. But as the shoreline slowly emerged from the mist, dark, silent, watching, I realized something chilling. Britain was not afraid of Rome. Britain had been waiting.